So, what is your name?
Susan Hajek,
And how long have you been working as a teacher?
15 years.
Oh wow, that's quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 years more than I've been alive, actually. So, what inspired you to become a teacher?
Oh, gee. A couple of things. My mother was a teacher, okay, so maybe it's in my genes. And children's books. I love to share good literature, so what better way than to become a teacher and do it? And read the literature as well. And then I think it was just really good teachers I had growing up. That just was, they were great role models. And I just wanted to be like them, I think.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And so, what are some challenges that you typically face throughout the day?
Oof, there's lots. Behavior, okay. I would say most teachers, if they had to complain about something about their job, it would be the behaviors that some of the children exhibit. Sometimes it's things that the kids can control, and other times it's family life and other things in their lives that they can't. So you take what you can from the children and you try and mold them as best you can. But sometimes it's not easy. You just gotta have patience a lot of times.
Yeah. Speaking from experience, two younger brothers.
Yeah.
Young children can definitely be very rambunctious.
Right. And I'm sure you've had classes too, where the kids, other kids you were fed up with because their behaviors were, making the class not so enjoyable. And, but then again, that's real life, so people get to see what, that's what the outside world is going to be like when you guys go too. So that's the biggest challenge. The other challenge is nowadays there's a lot of push towards testing in schools, and that's very stressful because I look at, especially I'm a third grade teacher, and they have mandatory retention in third grade. So if a child does not pass the end of the year assessment, which is not called the FCAT anymore, it's FSA, they could be retained. So I look at it as a huge responsibility and burden on me to try and teach as much as I can to these children so that they can pass that test and go into fourth grade. So it is a challenge.
Okay. Now, what are some of the greatest, I'll say joy as a word, what are some of the greatest joys you have throughout the day?
Oh my goodness. Kids like you, if you remember back in fourth grade, who would, like when I read a story, I can still remember you when I would read, out of the chapter books and the read-alouds, how your eyes would just be transfixed on me and you would smile at the funny parts, and I just, then I knew that what I was trying to do was getting through to kids. That light bulb that goes off in kids, that, oh, I get it now, kind of, then you think, okay, I'm doing it right, and that's what makes it joy. And it's like really cool to hear from kids that have grown up and how have you changed and that kind of thing, because you get to know, it's almost like a family for 9 or 10 months out of the year, and you get to know these kids and you wonder what's going to happen to them, and have you made an impact on their lives. So that's the good part of teaching, is that you are a part of people's lives for just a small part of their growing up years.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, what types of projects or assignments do you have for each day?
Oof, projects.
Like assignments, deadlines, things of the
For
like.
me or for the kids?
For you.
Oh, well, they have
typical responsibilities.
Oh, you mean a teacher? Okay, well, like, you have to, do you mean like you have to, after the day is done, you have to make sure that you have make sure the kids get home, and is that what you're talking about? Or being on committees? There's other things other than just teaching from the time you guys get into the classroom until you leave. In the morning, typically I'm here a little bit before 7. You do lesson plans. Today, during when the kids go to specials, I have what they call a team meeting where you meet with the other teachers that are teaching your grade level. They call it a PLC, and it's what they call like a learning community where you collaborate, and we're working on reordering and looking at the standards and reordering how we're doing things to make it more meaningful for the children, okay, rather than just going from the very beginning of the book till the end. So that requires a lot of work and a lot of pulling in outside resources. So there's a lot of things that go into teaching that other people don't realize.
Yeah.
And then, so that's during the day, okay, that you meet with other teachers. In the afternoon, typically, you stay here for another, well, depends, another hour or so, lesson plans, grading, trying to look at what you've done that day and think, okay, how could I have done that better, and try and maybe tweak things so that the next day, get ready for the next day. What else do I do? I'm trying to think. And then just planning, just looking at what do they make the kids need, and saying, okay, obviously we didn't get this lesson, I got to redo it, you know. So even if I've planned something, it may not go well, or I may have to go back. So there's a lot of things that go into teaching before and after school that I think people don't realize, you know.
Okay, and the last question. Any advice you give to someone like me who's thinking about a career in teaching?
Oof. Advice, geez. Well, follow your heart first, because no matter what job you do choose, whether it's teaching or not, make sure it's something that you're passionate about and follow your heart, because this job can be great if you're passionate about it, or it can be a real bummer if you're not, you know, it's just one thing after another, it's just a real downer. So you have to follow your heart. And then I think a teacher has to be someone who's detail oriented. Okay, there's so much that goes into the day. You've got, for me, 18 children, and there are kids here with different needs, which you will find out there are individual education plans for children that have special needs, different things, that you have to make sure not only are you meeting the needs of the regular population, but then you have to make sure that you're doing things to help these children succeed at well. So it's a lot of things that you have to, I don't know if you're too young, but in the old days there was a TV show called the Ed Sullivan Show, and there was this man who used to keep plates up in the air by spinning them on sticks. Do you ever see that?
I've never seen Ed Sullivan, but I have
You've
seen
heard about
something
it.
like that.
Okay, well, I always talk about teaching as being those plates. Okay, you spin this child and he's moving, and then you got to run over here and you got to get this one going, and there's so many things that go into the day that you have to keep going. So you have to be very detail oriented. You have to, you know, I make lists every day, every morning. I'm making a list right now, even though I have my lesson plans. I've got a list of things. Oh, this is what I didn't do yesterday. This is what I got to talk to so and so. We're going on a field trip tomorrow. I got to talk to the cafeteria, you know. So I've got a whole list that I've got to follow through and make sure, because if I don't, then all those plates are going to start falling, and then I'm really going to have a mess. So I think a person like that, you got to be passionate about, you know, wanting to help children learn, but then you've got to also be organized and, you know, detailed, I think, to be successful and to enjoy your job.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Hajek.
You're welcome. Thanks, John.